I wish I had never installed that camera. At first, it seemed like a normal idea, a simple way to feel safe. But 3 nights later, the camera started doing something that no camera should ever do. It started watching me back. Section 1. The reason I bought the camera. I live alone in a small house on the edge of town. It's quiet here. Too quiet sometimes. Most nights the only sounds are the wind moving through the trees and the occasional car driving past on the distant road. For years, I liked the silence. It helped me relax after long days at work. But about 2 weeks ago, something strange started happening. Every morning when I woke up, small things in my house seemed different. Nothing big. Just small changes. My kitchen chair would be slightly moved. The hallway light would be on even though I clearly remembered turning it off. One morning, my front door was unlocked. At first, I blamed myself. Maybe I was just forgetful. Maybe I was tired and making mistakes. But then something happened that made my stomach drop. One night, I woke up around 2 a.m. I walked into the kitchen to get a glass of water. And my back door was open. Wide open. Cold air was blowing into the house. I was absolutely sure I had locked it. That night, I barely slept. The next morning, I ordered a security camera online. Section 2. Installing the camera. The camera arrived 2 days later. It wasn't anything fancy. Just a small indoor security camera with night vision and motion detection. The box said it could send alerts directly to my phone. Perfect. I installed it in the corner of my living room where it could see the front door, hallway, and part of the kitchen. After setting it up, I tested it a few times. The picture looked clear. The motion alerts worked perfectly. For the first time in days, I actually felt relaxed. If someone had been entering my house, the camera would catch them. Simple. Or at least, that's what I thought. Section 3. The first alert. The first strange thing happened the very first night. I was lying in bed scrolling on my phone when I received a notification. Motion detected, living room camera. I sat up immediately. My heart started beating faster. Someone was in my house. I opened the camera app. The screen loaded. But when the video appeared, the living room was empty. Nothing moved. Everything looked completely normal. I watched the live feed for almost 2 minutes. Nothing happened. Finally, I told myself it was probably just a bug. Maybe the camera detected a shadow or something. I turned off my phone and went back to sleep. But that was only the beginning. Section 4. The second night. The next night, things got worse. At exactly 3:12 a.m., my phone buzzed again. Another notification. Motion detected. This time, I opened the camera immediately. The living room lights were off, but the camera's night vision was active. The room looked gray and silent. The couch. The coffee table. The hallway. Everything was still. But as I watched the screen, something felt wrong. Very wrong. The camera was moving. Slowly. Left. Then right. Then slightly downward. Like someone was holding it. My stomach tightened. That made no sense. I had mounted the camera on the wall. It couldn't move. Unless someone was touching it. Section 5. The impossible movement. I rushed out of bed and walked slowly toward the living room. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. The hallway felt darker than usual. Colder. When I reached the living room entrance, I stopped. The camera was exactly where I had installed it. Perfectly still. Pointing at the front door. Nothing looked disturbed. No one was there. But when I checked my phone again, the camera feed was different. Now the camera was facing the hallway. Facing me. I froze. Because I hadn't touched it. And somehow, the camera had turned itself. And it was pointing directly at me. Section 6, the third alert. I slowly walked closer to the camera. The live feed showed my own face staring back at me. The night vision made my eyes look pale and empty. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then my phone vibrated again. Another notification. Motion detected. But this time, I wasn't moving. And the camera wasn't moving. Yet the app said something in the room was. I looked around the living room. Nothing. I looked behind the couch. Nothing. Then I looked back at my phone screen. And that's when I noticed something that made my blood run cold. In the camera feed. Behind me. Something moved in the hallway. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. My eyes stayed locked on the phone screen. The camera feed showed my back as I stood in the living room, staring at the camera. But behind me, in the hallway, something had definitely moved. Not a shadow. Not a trick of the light. Something real. Slowly, my chest tightened as I forced myself to turn around. The hallway was empty. Completely empty. The light was off, and the darkness stretched down toward the bedrooms. Nothing was there. At least, nothing that I could see. But the camera had seen something. And that meant one of two things. Either someone had been standing behind me. Or the camera was showing something that my eyes couldn't see. Neither option made me feel better. Section 1, checking the recording. My hands were shaking as I opened the playback section of the camera app. Every motion alert automatically saved a short video clip. If something had been in the hallway, the recording would prove it. I scrolled to the newest clip. 3:12 a.m. Motion detected. I tapped play. The video started. At first, it showed the same thing I had just seen live. Me standing in the living room. My back facing the hallway. Completely still. Then, about 5 seconds into the clip, something appeared. A shape. Tall. Dark. Standing halfway down the hallway. My stomach dropped. The shape looked almost like a person. But it was wrong somehow. Too tall. Too thin. Its head looked slightly tilted, like it was studying me. Watching me. I felt cold all over. But the worst part came next. The figure slowly leaned forward. Like it was trying to look past me. Trying to see the camera. Trying to see me. Then the video ended. Section 2, searching the house. I immediately turned on every light in the house. Every single one. The living room. The kitchen. The hallway. The bedrooms. The bathroom. I checked every closet. Every corner. Even under the beds. Nothing. No broken windows. No open doors. No sign that anyone had been inside. The house was completely empty. But the video was still there. Proof that something had been in the hallway. Something tall. Something watching me. Section 3, the camera moves again. I went back to the living room and stared at the camera mounted on the wall. It looked harmless. Just a small black device with a glowing blue light. I told myself there had to be a logical explanation. Maybe the video had glitched. Maybe the shadow came from outside. Maybe. Then the camera moved. Not a lot. Just a tiny movement. But I saw it clearly. The lens slowly turned. Until it was pointing directly at me again. I hadn't touched it. The app settings didn't allow remote movement. This camera wasn't supposed to move at all. But somehow. It just had. My heart started pounding again. Because now it felt like the camera wasn't protecting me anymore. It was observing me. Like I was the one being monitored. Section 4, the next morning I barely slept that night. Every little sound made me jump. Every creak of the house made my heart race. When morning finally came, I felt exhausted. But I also felt determined. I needed answers. The first thing I did was review the entire night's recordings. There were 6 motion alerts. 6. And I had only checked 1. My stomach twisted as I opened the next clip. 1:47 a.m. Motion detected the living room looked normal. No one was there. But the camera slowly tilted downward. Then upward again. Like someone was adjusting it. Testing it. The next clip made my skin crawl. 2:33 a.m. Motion detected the living room was empty. But in the reflection of the TV screen, I could see something standing behind the camera. Watching the room. Watching everything. A tall silhouette. Completely black. No face. No details. Just a shape. Standing there silently. Section 5, the worst recording. The last recording was from 3:12 a.m. The one where I appeared in the video. But this version was longer than the clip I had watched earlier. And when I played it again, I noticed something new. Something I hadn't seen before. At the end of the video, when the tall figure leaned forward, it didn't disappear when the clip ended. Instead, the recording continued. The figure slowly walked closer. Closer to the camera. Closer to the living room. Closer to me. Its movements were slow. Unnatural. Almost jerky. Like something pretending to walk like a human. Then it stopped just behind me. Right behind my back. So close that it should have touched me. But I had felt nothing. Heard nothing. Seen nothing. Then the figure leaned toward the camera lens. And for a single frame, the night vision illuminated its face. Or what should have been a face. But there were no eyes. No mouth. Just smooth darkness. And then the video ended. Section 6, a new notification. I sat frozen on the couch staring at my phone. My hands were ice cold. My mind kept repeating the same thought over and over. Something had been inside my house. Standing right behind me. Watching me. And I never knew. Then my phone vibrated again. A new notification appeared. Motion detected, living room camera, but this time I was sitting right there in the living room. And I hadn't moved. Slowly. Very slowly. I looked up at the camera. The lens had turned again. And now it wasn't pointing at the door. It wasn't pointing at the hallway. It was pointing directly at my face.